Blues music is everywhere. We hear it in the office, the market, the car. We hear it so often we barely hear it at all anymore. But about a century ago, blues became so popular that it influenced everything from skirt lengths to politics. It was the soundtrack of the 20th century, present in almost every form of music that followed in its wake. It helped grow the national economy and elevate America's position in the world. And its creators are the U.S. corollaries of Bach, Beethoven, and Brahms. Yet today, few people know the saga of the first completely authentic form of American song. So Blues Alley's on a mission to reacquaint a new era with the people, places, and stories that gave rise to popular music as we know it today. But to uncover it all, we've got to take a journey down Blues Alley. Memphis Blues, finally published after 3 years, was the hottest thing around. George Honeyboy Evans performed the song in his popular vaudeville act. James Reese Europe, whose Hellfighters band would provide the soundtrack of the First World War, introduced the song to superstar Broadway dance team Vernon and Irene Castle. The Castles would in turn teach America to dance from the waist down, using Memphis Blues as the musical base for their latest dance sensation, the Foxtrot. All in, it was a huge hit. So why wasn't Handy happy? This is Main and Jefferson in Memphis, Tennessee, and it was here that Memphis Blues first went on sale at Bree's department store in September of 1912. It's also where the song was stolen from its composer, W.C. Handy. In the summer of 1912, L.Z. Phillips, manager of the music department at Bree's, offered to put Memphis Blues on sale if Handy would front the cost of printing. The day the copies arrived in Memphis, Handy and Phillips were joined by another man, Denver-based composer and publisher Theron C. Bennett. Bennett offered Handy nationwide distribution for Memphis Blues on the spot. And as the sheet music went on sale at Bree's, Handy scoured the other department stores in town, trying to get them to carry the tune as well. He struck out at Lowenstein's and at Goldsmith's. Even his old friends at the OK Houck Piano Company turned him down. When Handy returned to Bree's a few days later to check on sheet music sales, the news got even worse. The stack of 1,000 copies still sat there, largely untouched. Nobody was buying Memphis Blues. Handy couldn't believe it. The song had been wildly popular for the last couple of years. The band played it to routine acclaim at the Alaskan Roof Garden atop the Falls building in Memphis. But according to Bennett and Phillips, customers complained that the piece was too hard to play. Handy's investment was a bust after all. Faced with a stack of unsold copies and glad to get any return on his investment, he agreed to sell the song to Bennett. So for about $100, he handed over the receipt for the plating and all rights to the song except authorship. A week or so later, on October 7th, 1912, Bennett placed an order at Zimmerman & Son Music Printers for 10,000 copies of Memphis Blues with his own imprint on them. A few months after that, Bennett sold the song to New York music publisher Joe Morris for a small fortune. 3 months later, another 50,000 copies were ordered. Handy had sold too soon. But how the song had gone from goat to banknote in a couple of weeks was the million-dollar question, literally. What Handy didn't know, and wouldn't find out until Phillips enlightened him a couple of decades later, was that the stack of 1,000 unsold copies he saw that day at Bree's was a secret order, one that Bennett had arranged for on the sly. The first 1,000 copies, the ones Handy paid for, had sold out in 3 days. But Handy did something extraordinary. Instead of lamenting the loss of Memphis Blues, he simply went back to work. He'd proven he could do it once, surely he could do it again. And did he ever? Over the next couple of years, he wrote several hits like Beale Street Blues and Yellow Dog Blues. Then in 1914, along with a banker friend named Harry Pace, he formed Pace and Handy Music Publishers and opened offices next door to this building at 496 Beale, in part to ensure that nothing like the Memphis Blues fiasco would ever happen again. Later that same year, Pace and Handy published St. Louis Blues. It would become Handy's biggest hit, still earning royalties of $25,000 a year well into the 1950s. And St. Louis Blues would become one of the biggest blues hits of all time, and the first to cross over into pop music. It would also play a big part in launching the first great era of American music, known as classic blues, though today most people think of it as the Jazz Age. an age dominated by female singers, the women that gave birth to blues. And that's where we'll pick up next time on Blues Alley.